If you're trying to reduce your AWS bill, the first step is understanding where your costs are coming from. And that's exactly what you'll do today. Hi, my name is Daniel Chio, and I've been working for the past 4 years as a cloud solutions architect, helping customers optimize their infrastructure and cut unnecessary costs. It's completely normal to get lost in the AWS Cost Explorer. This topic causes confusion even for experienced users. In this video, I'll guide you straight to what matters, using the Bills tab, Cost Explorer, and bringing some real-life examples to help you understand exactly where your money is going. Alright, let's take a look at the agenda. We'll cover these topics. The Billing tab. If you're looking for a quick way to see what's driving your costs, this section gives you a clean breakdown of what we've used. Cost Explorer. If you need to understand how your costs evolved over time, like during a testing period, this is where you'll find the answers. EC2 Other. I'll explain what's included in this often confusing category and why it shows up in your bill. Credits. If you have some AWS credits, it's important to understand how they are being used and when they might run out. Tips and recommendations. At the end, I'll share some practical tips including tagging, budget alerts, and how to avoid good prices in the future. All of those items will be presented on the AWS console, and then we'll get back to the slides to show the tips and recommendations. Now let's jump into the console. You'll need to be logged into the payer account using the root user. Click on your user on the top right corner and select Billing. On the left menu, click on Bills. Let's check January. Here you can see a total of $19 and a breakdown of all the services that contributed to that amount. The largest cost came from RDS, accounting for more than 75% of the bill. Let's expand RDS. It's also grouped by region. Let's expand that as well. Now we get a more detailed view of the charges. The first item is the backup, which costs $0.095 per gigabyte per month after free tier is exceeded. Next, we can see the RDS instance price. This could bring you an insight like, this machine is expensive. Do I really need this size? Couldn't I switch to a smaller one? And here is its storage, costing around $0.11 per gigabyte per month. Let's check the secrets manager costs. It costs 40 cents per stored secret per month. I had 2 secrets, so that's 80 cents. You also pay for API calls to the secrets manager. It's 5 cents per 10,000 API requests. I made this amount of API calls, generating this cost. So wrapping up, in the Billing tab, you can clearly see which services you used in which regions and get a good summary of usage and pricing. And this already provides many useful insights, like considering switching the instance size or optimizing how often your app accesses Secrets Manager. The billing section is great for past cost and full month overviews. But if you want a more immediate and granular view, or if you're using credits, you will want to use Cost Explorer. If this is your first time using Cost Explorer, you might need to activate it first. It will take up to 24 hours and it is free of charge. Keep in mind that using Cost Explorer API calls outside the console costs 1 cent per call. Now, let's adjust the data range to last July. It has some interesting activity to look at. Also, change the granularity to daily so we can see how costs evolved over time. We can see the costs broken down by service, things like RDS, EC2, and EC2 Other. But it's not clear what exactly is included in each of these categories. How could you understand what caused this RDS cost increase on the 20th, for example? To investigate it, we can filter only the RDS service and change the dimension to usage type. Now we can see something more interesting. On the 17th, there was a spike. There were 2 instances being used at the same time. This happened while I was testing a change to a cheaper instance since RDS was my biggest cost. And it worked. You can see the cost drop on instance usage on the following days. Next, we can see another spike in costs, this time related to RDS proxy, which I had been testing. Even though it worked well, costs were too high, So I decided to change my architecture and stopped using it. Tracking my costs here was essential. Otherwise, I'd have had an unpleasant surprise at the end of the month. Shortly after, I enabled backups. Let's go back to viewing all services and take a look at this EC2 Other cost spike to understand what caused it. Once again, we filter by EC2 Other under services and then change the dimension to usage type. Here we can see that the spike was caused by the purchase of a reserved instance. There is one last thing that I want to show you. Let's set the filter from July to September. At first glance, you'll notice there are no visible costs for August. But if we filter by charge type and exclude credit, you see that the AWS services were still being used normally. That is important because credits can mask high costs, giving the false impression that your usage is under control. You should treat credits like real money. If you spend them carelessly, you'll start being billed much sooner than expected. Now let's get back to the slides so I can share some tips with you. You can use the AWS pricing calculator to do cost estimates before deploying any resources. This helps you plan ahead, avoid surprises, and choose the most cost-effective architecture from the beginning. You can find the pricing calculator's link in the description. You can use AWS budgets to track your spending and get alerts when your costs exceed a set amount. You can also enable forecast-based budgets to get notified in advance if your spending is projected to exceed your limit. You can see your free tier usage to track how much of the free allowance you've used across your AWS services. This helps you avoid unexpected charges once you exceed the free tier limits. You can find both budgets and free tier pages using the AWS console search bar. If you're using tags, you can group and view your costs by things like project, team, or environment, making cost tracking much easier as your company grows. I highly recommend implementing tags from the beginning. Otherwise, as your environment grows, it can become a mess. And tagging resources later on will be very difficult. The cost allocation tags link is in the description. I hope this information helps you identify idle resources and optimize costly ones. If you have any doubts, feel free to leave them in the comments. Keep optimized, guys.